Hey everyone, Rick Ucchino here once again on Sportskeeda Wrestling's YouTube channel, and it is always a pleasure to get to talk to the champ, especially when he's fresh off winning that belt just 5 days ago. WWE Champion Drew McIntyre joins me now ahead of his match against Roman Reigns this Sunday at Survivor Series. Drew, thank you so much for your time as always. Now two-time WWE Champion. How does that sound? Has it really hit you yet?
No. I guess. It feels pretty freaking good. Like I asked as soon as I finished the match on Monday, how this reign differs from the first one, how I feel, and I said I feel exactly the same. I guess for me, being such a huge fan, such a crazy journey, it feels like the first time, every time. But I guess the big thing to take away from it is, we've had a few people that have been fortunate enough to win the title once, which is a cool thing to win it once, but then they've not been able to kind of maintain their position or win it a second time and prove themselves at the top of the card. So winning it for a second time, is really cool to kind of cement myself at the top level of WWE.
Yeah, and you did it really quickly, just 3 weeks after dropping it, you get it back. Now, kind of to branch off of what you said you were asked earlier in this week, under normal circumstances, I have to believe it's hard to imagine topping winning your first championship in the main event of WrestleMania, but it's 2020. We don't live anywhere close to normal these days. You beat Brock Lesnar inside an empty, mostly silent performance center. This time around, still no physical fans, but man, you had the atmosphere of the Thunderdome, you had the pyro, you were wielding your boss's sword. I'm just kind of curious how those two moments compare to one another for you.
Yeah, equally. As much as each other. Like WrestleMania main event with Brock at the height of the pandemic, the only game in town, every other sport shut down. And I've got that feel-good story can give the world a happy ending. Not how I envisioned it, but it's really grateful to give everyone that happy ending and find out that 14 million people interacted on social media throughout WrestleMania weekend, up 60% from the year prior. But even just hearing those facts and figures, the fact it was Brock, the fact that where we were in the world at that time, meant so much to me. But as you say, this time, I guess a little more selfishly, I did have my biggest rival I've probably had in my life. 4 months, myself and Randy Orton was such a rarity these days. We've been through pretty much everything, done everything to each other, said everything about each other. It's inside the Thunderdome. We've got the fans there virtually. My wife was actually on the screen and watching me as live as you could watch right now, which was really cool when she wasn't able to be there, obviously, in any capacity at WrestleMania. So that meant the world. And obviously, to cap it all off, I'm walking out there with the Scottish badass and my kilt on, the gigantic Claymore setting off flames on the stage. And, defeating Randy Orton finally, not just on Raw, which was pretty cool, first time in 5 years, but with my finish with the Claymore in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, no shenanigans, which I haven't done up to this point with Randy in 4 months.
Is the entrance permanent now? Are you going to be wielding that sword moving forward?
I hope so. Cool. Like some entrances get old after a few weeks or whatever, but I was like, man, this will never go old for me. I hope it doesn't go old for the fans, but obviously we'll adapt and keep evolving because there's so much potential now what we can do. Like so many options that we've brought in, kind of my Scottish heritage, Scottish branding, which I've wanted to do for a long time, but we thankfully saved it, so it's an evolution of the character, and you got to keep evolving in WWE 52 weeks a year, so there's a lot of potential with it, even if we change it up slightly as we go.
Believe me, watching at home, tremendous visual. So that was Monday, though. Now you're on a collision course with the big dog, Roman Reigns. You two have met on the grandest stage before. It seems like years ago with how 2020 was, but it was just last year that happened. But where you two are right now, respectively, in your careers, Roman Reigns is on fire as he's ever been on SmackDown. Same with yourself on Raw. This matchup at Survivor Series this weekend feels like a really big deal that could easily be the main event of Mania 37, and maybe it still should be even after this weekend. How are you feeling about this bout heading into Sunday?
Yeah, I'm excited. Very, very excited. Probably heard it in my voice when I was on SmackDown talking to Roman. There's a few things I was excited to get off my chest. And it's such an interesting backstory. We have had history together, but, I was nowhere close. And, being the completed version of Drew I am today, which is essentially just Drew Galloway. Like what you see on screen now is Drew Galloway with the volume turned up. I finally kind of found myself And with Roman, he has proved himself time and time again at the top of the card for years and years and years. Everything he says right now is true, but the difference is the guy I admired so much when I returned to WWE is the one that put the work in, didn't brag about it. All those levels he talks about, they exist. When you want to be the top guy in WWE, you're nonstop, you're 24/7. He put his head down and he busted his butt, and I respected that so much. I said, I want to be like that guy. Even though we're having these, big matches and our feuds at the time, he was the one I wanted to be like, and to see him go from that humble workhorse to the one that brags all the time. And he talks about the facts and figures and the analytics, and they're true. They're absolutely true. He's been on top for a long time. He's got so much equity. Of course, he's got the numbers to back it up. But to watch the difference in attitude is interesting. I can't respect it as much as I used to. But from a compelling standpoint, from a feeling real standpoint, it feels real because everything he basically says is true. Like, there's no restrictions on him anymore. He's got the handcuffs off. I guess he's showing the world the real him, or maybe it's Paul Heyman in his ear. I don't know. All I know is, is a very compelling Roman Reigns right now. We've got Drew McIntyre finally found himself at the top of his game. You put the biggest match together that can possibly happen in WWE. Drew McIntyre, WWE Champion versus Roman Reigns, Universal Champion. This Sunday Survivor Series, Undertaker's 30th. This is going to be such a big show, such a big match. And in the end, I cannot wait to humble Roman and bring him back down to earth and hopefully be the guy I used to respect so much again.
Man, you're giving me goosebumps. You're getting me excited. I'm more so than I was already. You brought up The Undertaker. I do want to ask you about him, but I have to get one other question in here first, because the last time we spoke, it was right after AJ Styles was traded to SmackDown. And man, you have been chasing him for several years now, but October rolls around and the draft gods shined upon you. You're both now on the same brand again on Monday Night Raw. I know you want this matchup. I know this is something you have to be pitching right now. How soon do you think that's going to finally happen?
Oh, very soon, before he gets himself drafted to NXT or something. He's been ducking me for so many years, be it, when I was outside the company and I find myself in Impact. He's already disappeared. He's in Japan. I'm like, all right, he ran away to Japan. Multiple independent companies try to book us together, and they're not quite able to make it happen. And then, I come back to WWE with NXT, and we're still separated. And then I come up to Raw. He's on SmackDown. He finally comes to Raw, but he's a good guy, but he turns the bad guy. He's like, damn, this match is still not going to happen. And finally, I'm a good guy, and I'm like, this match is going to happen. He runs away to SmackDown. Oh, wait a minute. It's clear to me now. AJ's ducking me. Finally gets drafted back to Raw, and he's so terrified he gets himself like an 8-foot-tall bodyguard just in case old McIntyre comes knocking. But I'm the guy that beat Brock in 5 minutes at Mania. The guy that's going to beat the head of the table, Roman Reigns, this Sunday Survivor Series. I don't care how tall you are. I'll kick out that knee, then I'm going to finally get that match with AJ Styles.
Take out the bodyguard first and then get to AJ Styles. That is something I'm truly looking forward to. Finally, here, because I know you're very short on time and I appreciate every moment you're taking here with me. You brought it up earlier, The Undertaker bidding farewell this weekend at the same event he debuted at 30 years ago. Your thoughts, overall on the dead man, walking away with this incredible legacy that he leaves behind him.
He's the man. He deserves every celebration, every parade, every special, everything you can possibly give him and create for him, he certainly deserves. I put out a little video on my Instagram that I filmed at the WWE warehouse. I'm not sure if you got eyes on, and I kind of told some stories about when I first surfaced in WWE, and Undertaker was still a full-time performer, and Vince McMahon put him in charge of me. The youth movement was going on at the time. He realized that I had to start building superstars for the future. The current superstars weren't going to be around forever, and Sheamus and I were given some unique opportunities, kind of working under Triple H with Sheamus on Raw and Undertaker, myself on SmackDown. And I was around and I observed them. The goal was to build to a match eventually. Never materialized at the time, aside him defeating me in pretty quick fashion, ending my undefeated streak as the chosen one right before he retired, Shawn Michaels. But to fast forward a few years and return to the company, get the opportunity to get back in the ring with them, with myself and Shane McMahon versus Roman Reigns and The Undertaker as a kind of make-up match after that Goldberg match. And it was really cool because we went in there with the goal of giving him the match he deserves, but at the same time, I wanted to show him how far I'd come since that kid that used to harass him for advice all the time that wasn't quite figuring it out. And the favorite part of the match is something I pitched and he was cool with, is we went face-to-face in that first match when I was a kid, and it looked like a boy standing in front of a man. Like, it looked ridiculous, didn't look believable. But when I went face-to-face with him in that tag match, like, that was a full-grown man that finally showed back up to go face-to-face with The Undertaker. The crowd recognized it. They started rumbling. And I thought, man, we got to have this match. So selfishly, as much as he deserves this farewell, I'm hoping. I'm saying, there is still something in there for one more match, be it cinematic or whatever, or he just feels it, or he feels physically good. Because I want to fight Drew, and he calls me and shows up. Or like he said in the Last Ride documentary, that Vince calls, he's a soldier, he'll come running, I'll harass Vince every day. Like, call him. Selfishly, I want that match, but he deserves to do whatever he wants after his career.
Drew, if it never happens, at least, you can take solace in that you have the coolest visual that has ever happened on WWE programming in that match. When The Undertaker's given the throat slash, this match is over sign, and then just over his right shoulder, here you pop up from behind him like, nah, man, this ain't over yet. That was such a great camera shot and such a cool visual. So, I mean, at least you have that. That to me is the best camera shot that's ever happened in WWE history.
Thank you. No, that's really cool to hear, for one. Thank you. And two, just the difference of where I am. My wrestling IQ, like when he used to advise me when I was a kid, some of it went over my head. He spoke at such a high level, such a high IQ of wrestling. I just couldn't comprehend it all. I wish I could go back and get retaught those lessons that I perhaps didn't understand. But to come back and kind of show him how far I've evolved, and with the very similar philosophies, on wrestling from a realistic standpoint. And I pitched that angle to him. And the doors were getting pretty close to opening, but he took the time to listen to me, liked it, and we figured it out really quickly. And that was something that I brought to him, and he accepted. And I was like, man, that is really cool. Like, I pitched an idea to Undertaker, and he took it and showed how far we've kind of come in our relationship. And we never did get that big match just yet, so I'm going to keep holding out hope and probably harass him on Sunday.
Keep hope alive, Drew. Good luck moving forward. Congrats on all your success. Real quick, any chance we see you on Friday Night SmackDown again this week?
Well, never say never in WWE. Let's say that. I don't live too far away from Orlando. In a few weeks, we're moving to Tropicana Field, which is literally 6 minutes from my door. So I'm a drive away from everywhere. So who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
All right. Good luck moving forward. I appreciate the time, sir. Thank you very much.